Well, it's just past 0900 GMT. That's midday in Gaza. Amid the destruction, fear and the bloodshed caused by Israel's bombardment, its army tells 1.1 million Palestinians in northern Gaza to evacuate to the south within 24 hours. That includes UN staff, hundreds of thousands of people sheltering in UN schools and clinics, and Palestinian refugees in some of the largest camps in Gaza. UN aid workers say the relocation of so many people is impossible. The Israeli military says it will, quote, operate significantly against Hamas positions in the coming days, but the armed group has responded by calling on Palestinians to stay in their homes. Israel has killed more than 1,500 Palestinians since Saturday, when Hamas launched a military offensive. Hamas says those bombardments have killed 13 people, including foreigners who they had captured in Israel during Saturday's operation. The Israeli army says it's dropped 6,000 bombs on Gaza since the war with Hamas began, and more keep falling every hour. More than 423,000 Palestinians, that's nearly 20% of Gaza's population, have now been forced from their homes. Joining us on the phone from Khan Yunis in Gaza is our correspondent Yumna El Sayed. Yumna, you are where the Israelis say that 1.1 million Palestinians in Gaza should head to get out of Gaza City ahead of a possible military action of some sort. Talk us through the journey that you've had to make.
Yes, Rob. Well, me and my family, with the other neighbors in our building, almost all the square of where we lived moved to Khan Yunis. Now, the problem is that the Kurds were really afraid to go all the way from Gaza City to Khan Yunis. It's a long way drive, and the streets are not safe. Most of the streets are bombarded. So we have to take different routes. We have to look for the best street to drive into until we got here to Khan Yunis. Now, the problem is, Rob, as much as that journey was scary, we did take it because at the same time, we don't want to risk that we stay in Gaza City under heavy and intensive bombardment, more than what we have already been going through the past days. So we did what we could, but at the same time, there's thousands, hundreds of thousands now that are trapped in Gaza City. They want to come to Khan Yunis, but there is no place for them. Now, considering that Khan Yunis has already been under heavy bombardment, Rafah has been under heavy bombardment, all these people from around the two governorates have also come to Khan Yunis, and there's no places. The people who are also in these two governorates themselves, who have lost their homes, who have their homes and neighborhoods bombarded, already had moved into UNRWA and UN facilities and schools and shelters, whatever they could. So now there is an enormous number of people who are in these places over the capacity, much more over the capacity than what these places can take. And at the same time, there are thousands more who are calling to find places to come into. Now I'm talking literally, Rob, that every single home of the residential homes that are still available in Khan Yunis are hosting families, about 2 or 3 families from Gaza. So the numbers are like in full capacity in the homes of the people, the UNRWA shelters, the UNRWA schools in Khan Yunis governorate, and people are still yet calling to find places, and they can't find places. The problem is we're talking about 100,000 people who are supposed to evacuate. That is extremely impossible. What are the 300,000 people, over 300,000 people that are already in Gaza, in UNRWA schools, going to do? That number alone, where is it going to go? The people that are in Shifa Hospital or in Gaza City Hospital, where are they going? How are they going to leave? Those injured, those people who are in really difficult situations and they can't move. Yeah. And we're talking about a place that doesn't have ambulances, doesn't have transportation for evacuation for families or people. This is how the situation is.
Yumna,
It's
thank you
just
very
going
much
from-
indeed. That's Yumna Arsi talking to us from Khan Yunis. I want to go to Dr. Medhat Abbas. He's Director General of Gaza's Ministry of Health. He's joining us on the phone from Gaza. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. Can you give us an indication of the situation at the hospital where you are at the moment?
Well, they have collapsed. The hospitals now are not able to operate anymore. We have no electricity, we have no enough medications, and the injured people are lying on the ground in the emergency rooms and waiting before the operation rooms. In fact, we have mentioned that those civilians have been suffering from the beginning of this crisis, and till now the situation is worsening. Every moment there are new injured and new killed Palestinians. In fact, if this situation continues like this without any humanitarian corridor, it means that hundreds of people will be lost every day. This is a humanitarian disaster, pure humanitarian disaster, and I think the only solution is to stop this war at once and immediately bring in Gaza health professionals to assist us and to bring hospital fields and field hospitals and to bring medical supply. And immediately there should be some electricity by any means to support these hospitals, beside, of course, having the potable water for the patients, for the hospitals, and for the community in Gaza Strip. Now, when we talk about those who left their houses and become displaced in schools, they are now more than 400,000. I don't know how much. And we are hearing now about the displacement of 1.1 million Palestinians. I mean, what happens now is a disaster occurring in front of the international community, and there is no one intervening to solve this hell.
So let me ask you about Israel's demand that 1.1 million Palestinians leave Gaza City and move south. Clearly, you have hospitals and medical centres which are full of people needing treatment. From a logistical point of view, is that something that is possible? Can you actually move these people south to get them to some degree of safety?
No, there's no way to move them because first of all, they left their country on the 1948, and then they left it in the 1960s. And now what the hell should the Palestinian go? I mean, there is no room left for the Palestinian to live in. It seems that this genocide occurring now is aiming to eradicate all civilians in Palestine. This is the only goal which we can see now, because the victims of this conflict are just civilians among my people in Palestine. They are just dying. They're killing children, women, elderly people, and people are being in their house while they are annihilated.
So let me ask you this. In the event that it becomes necessary for people in Gaza to leave the city and move south, possibly because of military action from the Israelis, we don't know what form that might take. What are you and your staff going to do?
We will remain in our hospitals. No way. I mean, no way. We'll not leave our patients. We'll not leave our ministry. We'll not leave those victims. We will never, ever leave them, of course. We are staying with them. No way.
With regard to the kind of conditions that you're operating in, you mentioned earlier that you had no power, you have no potable water, if I understand it correctly. What help are you able to provide to those that you're treating at the moment?
We're offering life-saving services now, and we are cooperating with NGOs, all the Palestinian NGOs which are still remaining in the health sector in Gaza Strip. So we're referring them to those cases as much as we can, waiting and hoping that there will be a humanitarian corridor immediately to evacuate those seriously injured to any other country like Egypt or Jordan.
Dr. Medhat Abbas, we appreciate that you are very busy at the moment, as of course are your staff. Director General of Gaza's Ministry of Health, thank you very much indeed.